Hi, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to cover just one quick thing. I have limited time here, so hopefully I don't keep this video going too long. But I want to talk about something that Weiss Ratings posted yesterday, and it covers some of their predictions relating to Ripple and XRP for the 2019 calendar year. First, before I jump into that, there's something that I intended to include in my, to discuss briefly at least, in my video that I posted yesterday, where I was kind of acknowledging some of the people that influenced me early on when I jumped into crypto starting November of 2017, because I've been in this a little bit over a year now. And just the people that initially helped me understand cryptocurrency as a whole, what blockchain actually is. And in particular, first 4 to 6 weeks when I jumped in, these are people that I heavily followed. That's in the last video. I don't want to rehash that. But what I did want to include is some of the people that influenced me early on inside of the first couple months, specifically as it pertains to learning about Ripple and XRP. And kind of the way that I do videos to make sure that it's not too rigid is I don't over prepare for anything. I just have I don't even jot it down at this point. I did kind of I made bullet points for like the first video or two I did to make sure I didn't forget it. And then I just thought it just doesn't flow as natural for me. So it just in my head, there's a few things that I highlight for myself I want to talk about, and then I do my best to touch on everything. And for me, that's the best way to make sure that when I'm speaking, it doesn't come across as rigid or forced, because over-preparing, for me at least, it's bad when I'm speaking. Same for public speaking. The downside of that is that I'm not going to necessarily remember everything that I wanted to say, but I've kind of made peace with that. But anyway, what I wanted to say, if you could just humor for just a moment, and then I'll jump into what I wanted to talk about beyond this. I want to send a thank you, actually, to 5 people. If any of you happen to be watching this, genuine thank you to all of you, because you are 5 of the people in the first couple months that really helped me understand Ripple and XRP. And actually, all of you at one point or another, even David Schwartz, actually, all of them at one point or another actually answered some of my questions that I had put out there, at least one. So I really appreciate it. Probably the person that I learned the most from would be Dr. T, at XRP Trump on Twitter. This guy, wow, he's all over the place on Twitter, and you got to admire his FUD-busting abilities for sure. But he knows what he's talking about, and he's one of those guys where, like, if you come in and you have a legitimate question, you're coming from a place of, I don't understand this, help me learn. He is all over it. He's ready to welcome you to the XRP community with open arms if you're just learning, whatever. And I learned a ton of information from him. And I'm going to run through this list quick because it's pretty much the same with all of them. David Schwartz, here I'm popping up on the screen now, at Joel Katz, one of the original architects of the XRP ledger. He's very active on Twitter, which is fantastic. He's probably the most active Ripple employee on Twitter, at least that I've come across anyway. And given that he is one of the creators of XRP, I mean, what better source to go to? So I learned a ton from him as well. And then, of course, probably none of these names are surprising you guys if you're in the XP community, but they deserve to be listed for a reason. Tiffany Hayden, learned a ton from her. I've read her blog, and she's always very active. And just the things that she posted over the period of time helped me to learn more about Ripple strategy early on, and the differences between Bitcoin, XRP, and then this little firecracker here, Galgatron. Gotta love Galgatron. Oh man, I like the way this guy writes. He's got one of my favorite blogs. I mean, him and Hodor are up there. Oh, I should have put him on. See, this is the problem when I start making a list. I can't include everybody. Hodor's one that I learned a lot from also. In particular, I read a ton of his stuff, like everything I could. I remember when I jumped in, especially when I found out he existed in December of 2017. So just pretend Hodor's on this list too. Pretend I pulled him up on Twitter here. You guys know who he is if you're in the XRP community. And then Matt Hamilton, at Hammertoe. So that rounds out my top here. But like all of these guys, extremely knowledgeable and extremely helpful. And so again, if any of you are watching, just want to send a sincere thank you, because you helped me personally. And a lot of it is, a lot of it, especially with Dr. T out there, he's just responding to a bunch of FUD claims as it pertains to Ripple and XRP. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if he's changing their minds. Sometimes you're talking to a brick wall, but I learned from those instances. I learned a lot, and so Dr. T, keep fighting the good fight, so to speak. But anyway, I'll move on. Beyond that, there's this fun little piece from Weiss Ratings, and in case you guys don't know who Weiss Ratings is, I'll just read because they're self-described as the nation's leading provider of independent, unbiased, trusted ratings of stocks, mutual funds, cryptocurrencies, ETFs, and financial institutions. And they started rating cryptocurrencies, I guess it was the beginning part of last year, 2018. And at first, I was just like, okay, it's another entity in the crypto space that is out to spread FUD and just smear Ripple and XRP. And let me pull up one of their early tweets. Here it is. Yeah, so this is from March 16th, 2018. And they tweeted out, Ripple CEO promotes centralization, saying global payments and banking will be changed from within. We think this is BS because no system has ever changed from within. What do you think? And then there's a bunch of hashtags. And when I initially saw that, I kid you not, I since maybe it's just because it's supposed to be a professional business and they use the letters BS, and I thought, is this even real? So I had to go and verify that this is actually the official Weiss Ratings Twitter account, and sure enough, it was. And so I was kind of blown away. And again, I was like, okay, just add them to the stack, add them to the pile. It's just another entity out there that's going to spread a bunch of nonsense about Ripple and XRP. But to their credit, especially of the second half of 2018, they completely changed their tune. Oh my God, they're on board with Ripple and XRP. I think this is just a case of they started saying stuff and having firm positions on things before they knew what they were talking about. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And so yesterday they posted something, and I'm just going to read this for fun. It's kind of their predictions for 2019 as it pertains to crypto in general, and they did include predictions about Ripple and XRP. And I'm not into, just to be clear, just so you guys know, I'm not into price predictions. I'm never going to make a price prediction. Well, let me take that back. There's one price prediction that I made. It's actually more like I said it wouldn't happen, to clarify. I did call out months ago XRP would not reach $589 end of year 2018, and of course I was right, because that's a no-brainer. Of course that wasn't going to happen. But beyond that, I've never predicted where a price would be, and I'm not going to. I think it's fun to me to talk about potentially where price could be, big picture, what's the potential. It's worth talking about that just to conceptually understand what you're getting into. But as far as a timeline, it's silly. I don't want to get involved with that. But it's fun to kind of read stuff from other people, and they didn't spout numbers here. Weiss didn't spout numbers specifically, but down here, if I could scroll down, one of the forecasts here, they wrote, in 2019, much as it did after, they're referencing Bitcoin, much as it did after prior bear markets, Bitcoin will rise up and head for new all-time highs. Well, I think that's inevitable. I'd be shocked if it never got back to its all-time high. And so apparently they think it's likely that's going to happen in 2018. Maybe that's right, maybe that's not. That'd be neat if it is. Rising tide raises all boats, as they say, in particular when every single crypto is tethered to Bitcoin, as is the case right now. Still waiting for that decoupling. We'll see when that happens. But interestingly down here, so as it pertains to Ripple and XRP, I'll just read this small little piece. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm never going to read a whole article. But they wrote, Bitcoin was created to be a new kind of digital payment network, but has so far failed to achieve that goal. Meanwhile, however, Ripple's XRP and Stellar are rising to the challenge. They have the potential to disrupt financial markets, remittances, wire transfers, and much more. Ripple's XRP, in particular, is aiming to disrupt SWIFT, the giant payments network of the global banking system. If it can manage to chip away at SWIFT's market share and even replace it in some areas, there's a chance that XRP could eventually become the world's #1 cryptocurrency. Well, here. I'm glad you're on board, Weiss. I've been saying that for probably the better part of a year at this point. There's a big reason for that in my mind. Why do I think that it's likely that XRP will at some point overtake a Bitcoin in terms of market cap? And not that that's the most important metric per se, but it's fun to think about. And who's going to finally take the #1 spot? Because I don't think Bitcoin's going to stay there forever. you know, look, I kind of stated in my last video too, I think if you're talking over a span of decades, it's possible that you could start to see cryptocurrencies, perhaps Bitcoin, gain traction as a viable alternative to fiat currencies. In particular, where there are fiat currencies that are resulting in serious pain points for those nations that use them. You can think in any nation that has runaway inflation, you know, it's not good. Venezuela, you know, there's all sorts of places out there where fiat has essentially collapsed. And I think so those people that are experiencing pain are more likely to adopt that type of technology first for that purpose. Whereas, for instance, me, I'm in the United States here, and the dollar's working pretty well for me. For settlement aside, my user experience, it's pretty darn good. You know, there isn't a strong incentive for me, even if there were enough liquidity in Bitcoin, to switch my payment to make my payments using a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or anything else. But again, if there's a strong enough pain point, that could happen. So, why do I think XRP could overtake Bitcoin? Well, because although I think that you could see that type of use case that I just cited for Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency, maybe Bitcoin if Lightning Network works on large scale. Excuse me, still getting over my sickness. Even if that does work, it could take decades. Whereas what we're seeing right now with XRP is it's being used sight unseen as a settlement mechanism, essentially. So that's experiencing real-world adoption today, and I think that the smart money is recognizing this, and I think it's going to be pouring in. And on top of that, there's all sorts of other developers that are today finding real-world uses for XRP. And you're just not seeing that with any other coins. You're not seeing commercial adoption. And in fact, XRapid being launched in October of last year, 2018, the production version, that was the first time in history, because it does use XRP, that's the first time that a cryptocurrency has ever been used in commercial production for anything. That was XRP. That's a huge milestone, and I think that's amazing. So, big picture, what do I see happening? I'm not going to stamp a timeline on this, and I could be wrong, but I suspect that XRP is most likely to be the first to dethrone Bitcoin in terms of market cap. Even if Ethereum beats them to it, I still think in terms of staying power, whether it's the next 5 or 10 years, I mean, it's hard to predict that far out. Fine, that's fair to say. But if I had to make a guess right now, I don't think there's a better bet, a safer bet than XRP. And again, it comes down to, if people are going to keep throwing money into something, what is the real world utility? And we're not seeing it with anything else. Not really, but we are seeing that adoption take place right now with XRP. So that's just my big picture thoughts on the topic, and I thought it would be a fun thing to discuss. And it's always neat to see somebody that, you know, essentially came off to me at least as another FUD entity within the crypto space. It's fun to see them come on board, and they've been strongly behind Ripple and XRP for at least half of last year, and I think they get it now. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. So I'll leave the video at that. I need to get out of here, need to get moving anyway, but thank you so much for watching. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. I'm just a guy on the internet with some opinions, and that's it. And I like engaging with the XRP community. If you would be willing to subscribe or hit like on YouTube, just know that I am very, very grateful if you're willing to do that. If you like this content, if you want to hear more. And again, like I said, thanks for watching. That's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.